And good evening, everyone. This is John from Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports, getting ready for Week 10 of the NFL and fantasy seasons. Sorry, I'm running a little late tonight. Just got a late start, but here we go. I got the flex options up. So if anybody's got any questions on who to start for your flex spots tonight, just put them in the chat there, and we'll get those answered. Let's see. We have Baltimore and Miami tonight. Um, so should be an easy matchup for Baltimore. Oops. Let's get the game going here. Thursday night. Let's share this with you. Oops, wrong one. Share. All right. So let's take a look at tonight's game. We got Lamar Jackson as for the week. He's our second-rated fantasy quarterback. Also, second on the season, averaging 25.4 points a game. Going up against Miami, who's 28 against quarterback, so a very good matchup tonight for him. We have him projected at 27.7, passing for 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a chance at an interception, but also adding 65 to 70 yards. So he's definitely worth a start this week. We're jumping over to running backs. We have Devonta Freeman. He's ranked 55th on the year. We have him 29th this week, which is either a wide receiver or running back 2 spot or a flex spot. So there might be some other options available for you there. Same thing goes for Le'Veon Bell and Tyson Williams. I want to start any of those guys. Jumping over to wide receivers, we got Hollywood Brown. Definitely a fantasy start. We have him projected 14th this week, which is definitely a wide receiver 2 spot. But he's 6th on the year, averaging 18.8 points a game. Going up against Miami, 29th against wide receivers. We have him at 15.9 this week, 5 catches, 70-something yards, 60%, excuse me, and a touchdown. Let's see here. Bateman, 44th for the week, which is just on the outside of using as a flex spot. So if you don't have any of the options, only use Bateman there. We have him at 3 catches for about 50 yards. Mark Andrews at tight end. He's 2nd on the season. We have him 4th this week, going up against the 19th ranked defense. And he's averaging 15 points a game. We have him at 14.2. And then Justin Tucker, number 1 on the season, also number 1 this week. And the Ravens are number 8 on the week, going up against Miami. They should be able to put up some good numbers, sack-wise, and maybe some turnovers. Let's see here. Let's jump over to Miami. I haven't heard any official news. I do have Brissett as the 28th ranked quarterback, and Tua 29th. I haven't heard who's playing or who's not playing. So keep an eye on that. If anybody knows, let me know in the chat there. We have Brissett at 11.4 this week, 167 yards, maybe a touchdown. Where if Tua goes, same thing, only about 120 yards. Neither one of them adding too much into the rushing categories there. So Myles Gaskin, we have at 17th this week. So that's definitely a running back 2 or a flex spot. So definitely make sure he's in your lineup tonight. Going up against Baltimore's 24th against fantasy running backs. So let me see. We have him at 12 points. He averages 12.1 in the year. We have him getting about 48 to 50 rushing yards tonight and adding 3 to 4 receptions for another 20 to 25 yards. We have Waddle. Waddle is the only option to be using as for Miami if you need a wide receiver there. He's 24th on the year, which is a wide receiver 2 or a wide receiver 3 spot. Tough matchup. Baltimore is number 9, but we still have Waddle with 13.7 points this week, 6 catches for about 62 yards, and a 30% chance at a touchdown. Mike Gesicki coming in for tight end. He's 3rd on the season. We have him 6th this week. Baltimore's really not good against tight ends this year. He's averaging 12.3 points a game. We have him at 11.8, so it's a little bit below his number. Getting about 5 catches, anywhere between 55 to 60 yards, and a 30% chance at a touchdown. And I would stay away from either Sanders or the Dolphins defense. If you guys have any questions, just post them there in the chat, and I'll answer them. Let me bring up the quarterbacks for the week. And once again, I'm sorry I was running a little bit late. So let's take a look at this week's quarterback matchups. Actually, let me bring this one up. This is our top 10 for the week. Let's just do this here. All right, top 10 are actually top 12 quarterbacks for the week. Starting at number 12, we have Jalen Hurts going up against Denver. Hurts isn't going to get you many passing yards, but he adds a lot rushing. Right now, he has 494 rushing yards on the season with five rushing touchdowns. So he's definitely worth a start if you're in a deeper league. Kyler Murray at number 11 going up against Carolina. Murray this week 232 yards, 2 touchdowns probably, one interception. He'll also add a little bit of rushing, getting about 25 yards. So those were the 2 guys that just missed out on the top 10. Number 10 this week, we had Derek Carr going up against Kansas City. Kansas City's not very good on defense, so definitely get Carr into your lineup. We have him projected for 297 yards this week, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Wentz coming off a good game against the Jets last Thursday. But we have him at number 9 this week. 256 yards, 2 touchdowns this week, going up against Jacksonville. We have Matthew Stafford for the Rams. The Rams, I don't know if it's official yet. I do know that they were thinking about bringing in Odell Beckham. If that's final, if that's a signed deal, anybody in the chat, let me know. We also have Cam Newton also going back to the Carolina Panthers. That's not bad. I know Darnold's hurt. Something about a fracture I believe in his shoulder. But coming in at number 7, I have not heard if he's officially playing this week. But we have Aaron Rodgers going up against Seattle, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and only 40% chance at an interception. Justin Herbert going up against Minnesota, 297 yards, 2 touchdowns as well. He's having another great season after backing up his rookie year. We have Patrick Mahomes in at number 5 going up against Vegas. This is a division game, so this could be tough. 292 yards there for Mahomes. Probably get about 25-30 rushing. We got Tom Brady coming in at number 4 going up against the Washington football team. Brady will definitely get over 300 yards. That's all they seem to do is throw the ball. When you have those weapons, why not? But yeah, 305 yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns. So definitely get Brady in your lineups. Let's see, Dak Prescott coming in at number 3, going up against Atlanta, 300 yards, Also between 2 and 3 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson tonight against Miami. We talked about him a little bit. 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a chance at a pick, but also adding in anywhere between 60 to 70 rushing yards. So he has 600 yards on the season rushing. Those would be good numbers if he was just a running back. So he fantasy wise, he's another great quarterback to have in your lineup. And number 1 this week, we have Josh Allen coming off a miserable game last week against Jacksonville. Going up against the Jets, we have him at 282 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Buffalo adding 40 yards rushing. Buffalo should win this game. So those are our quarterbacks. Let's go over to our running backs. Our running backs this week. I don't have these guys projected for the rest of the year. I just did that for quarterback so far. It's not going to work, so let's see if we can get wide receivers to work. All right, wide receivers. We got Cooper Kupp as our number 1 projected wide receiver this week, scoring 21.6 points, 7 catches, just about 100 yards, 80% chance at a touchdown. Going up against the number 8 fantasy defense, so that's a little bit of a tough matchup, but definitely get Kupp into your lineups. He's going to put up numbers. Keep an eye on Davante Adams. Right now we have him at number 2, but if Love is the quarterback again this week, those numbers will drop a little bit. But currently we have him at 7 catches, 95 yards, and 70% chance at a touchdown. He averages 19 points a game on the year, so just getting a little bit over that average if Rodgers is playing. Coming in at number 3, we have Tyreek Hill. Hill going up against Vegas, 20 points this week, 7 catches, about 85 to 90 yards. Also adding about 70% chance at a touchdown. But a tough matchup. Vegas is the 3rd-ranked fantasy defense against receivers. Then we have Deontay Johnson for Pittsburgh. 6 catches, 83 yards, and 60% chance at a touchdown, going up against 13th ranked defense. He's currently ranked 25th on the year, but we have him at number 4 this week, so that's a nice little jump up for him. Mike Evans comes in at number 5 for Tampa Bay, going up against Washington. Diggs at 6. I won't go through all the numbers. You can see him there on screen. Diggs at 6. A.J. Brown at 7. Keenan Allen at 8. Deebo Samuel at 9. And Cordell Patterson, I do have him ranked both on the wide receiver and the running backs spot. Some leagues you can use him as either or. So maybe give a little bit of bump there to Pittman going up against Jacksonville. Jefferson's a little low this week. Going up against second-ranked fantasy defense. So that's a tough matchup there. He should still be able to put up some numbers. Let's see here. See if running backs are working yet. Yeah, here we go. We got Naji Harris going up against Detroit. Detroit's ranked 31st in the league. So definitely get him into your lineups. Got him at 21 carries, 78 yards. Definitely, he's 4th on the year, so having a great rookie season. Jonathan Taylor coming off a great game last Thursday. Have him at 19 points, but 85 to 90 yards, 90% chance at a touchdown. And Jacksonville's 13th. Jacksonville played a great game last week against Buffalo. McCaffrey's back. He was back last week, but we have him getting a little bit heavier workload this week, going up against Arizona. 16 carries, 72 yards. So there you can see the rest of the guys: Eckler, Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, DeAndre Swift. There's Patterson again. Aaron Jones. Some of the tougher guys that have some matchups, tough matchups. Fournette going up against Washington, who's number 7. Connor. Connor's putting, I believe Connor's got 10 touchdowns on the year. But Carolina's number 10 or number 3 on the season against fantasy quarterbacks. And Henderson from the Rams having a great year. So if you were able to pick him up, good job doing that. He's going up against the 23rd ranked fantasy defense. So there's the running backs. Let's see here. Tight ends. Tight ends don't seem to work half the time. All right, we got Travis Kelce coming in at number 1, Darren Waller at number 2. Both good plays this week. Now they're ranked 1 and 5 on the season, but they do have easier opponents this week. Vegas is ranked 29th against tight ends, while Kansas City is 27th. So if for some reason your league allows 2 tight ends to be played and you have both of these guys, that should be a fun game to watch. But Kyle Pitts is 3rd. Mark Andrews 4th. Kittle's finally getting healthy. He's 5th this week. Yep, 5th. Gasecki for Miami tonight. Like we talked a little bit about before, going up against Baltimore. Hawkinson for Detroit. Goddard, that's a tough matchup going up against Denver. Denver's 2nd against fantasy tight ends, so that's a tough matchup there. Dalton Schultz, who's having a great year, definitely pick him up. Freiermuth, who's starting the rookie there in Pittsburgh, he's starting to add some numbers. So if he's available, he's only taken in 48.1% of leagues. So if he's available in your league, maybe pick him up and stash him away because he's becoming a bigger part of that offense. Let's see here. Defenses. We have Buffalo ranked number 1 this week, going up against the Jets. The Jets do have Mike White playing again this week. They're giving Zach Wilson some more time to come back from that injury, but definitely should be starting them this week. Arizona going up against Carolina. Carolina gives up a lot of sacks, and it looks like PJ Walker will be playing this week. Let's see here. E-Rock, what's up, bro? Not much. What's happening? If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. I'll answer any fantasy questions you have. We're just going over the defenses here. So let me change that banner. Thanks for tuning in. We live stream every Thursday. My partner Sean had a family situation come up, so he's not with me tonight. But hopefully he'll be back Sunday. And I was running late, so if I seemed a little rushed, I'm sorry. I still wanted to go live. I didn't want to skip a week. I think that would have been bad. So things are going. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. We're growing. We're actually we're up to 95 subs already. For starting early, it's a tough grind, but we're going to keep going at it. Got some cool things planned for the off season with draft stuff and doing some more collaborations with some other YouTubers from the different NFL teams. So we'll start doing that kind of stuff come NFL playoff time, not fantasy playoff time, but NFL playoff time. But we got Arizona here, the Rams going up against San Francisco. I believe that's the Monday night game. The Steelers going up against Detroit. That should be a good matchup for that defense. Tampa Bay against Washington. Indianapolis against Jacksonville. The Saints. Let's see here. Let's see. We do have a question. Let me see if I can change this here. Make this look a little nicer. There we go. Bateman or Darrell Williams? Darrell Williams, excuse me. Darrell, sorry. PPR flex. I'm worried Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be back. Sure. Let me go over to. I have a little comparison chart here. I had a comparison chart. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. Man. Sorry, I do want to answer your question, but I want to look at the stats to see where these guys are projected. So let's go Bateman or Williams. All right, it's not working. Sorry about that. Yeah, this isn't good. None of this is working. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can bring it up on my phone. Sorry. Oh, there we go. There's kickers. Running backs, here we go. Henderson, I do have Henderson going up against the 23rd ranked fantasy defense. Still getting 65 yards. Rushing, 60% chance at a touchdown while adding about 15 to 20 yards out of the back, receiving out of the backfield. So he's 12th in the year. Let's see where Bateman is. Sean Bateman from the Ravens, excuse me. I do have the Raiders up here somewhere. Ravens, man, I keep saying Raiders. Bateman, all right, there's Bateman. I do have Bateman projected to get 9.6 points this week. So Henderson to have a little bit better of a week. So I would definitely get him going. Let me go over here. Have another comment. Williams, not Henderson. That's okay. Let's take a look. Williams. What Williams? Mike Williams? Let me know in the chat. Oops. Mike Williams, I have it 13.9. Oh, Williams from Kansas City. Sorry. All right, yeah. I got Williams there at 11.1. And where was... Man, what is going on here? Wait, Williams, not Henderson. Well, you asked about Bateman and Williams. Oh, Williams. Oh, okay. Bateman or Williams. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's see here. Bateman. Let's see here. Let's go back to Williams. All right, Williams, we have at 11.1. And Bateman wasn't coming up in the list for some reason. Oh, there he is. We have him at 9.6 this week. What'd you say? It is PPR. Let's see. 29th against. He's going up against the 29th defense. And Williams is going up against the 21st. So definitely, well, you got the game tonight. Well, if it's the game tonight, I want to be careful. I would probably start Bateman tonight because if you are worried about Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming back, that would drop Williams' number a little bit more, which would probably make them even. So definitely, man, that is tough. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you a definitive answer here, but personally, I would go with Bateman tonight against Miami, not knowing the status of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Let me see where I have. Let me see where I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I only have him at 4.1 this week, so it's not looking good for him to play. Who would you say top? So I don't want to go to the next one yet until we get a definitive answer here. I have not seen a status on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so I'm gonna stay with my thing and go with Bateman. Hopefully that helps you out. It is PPR. I think Baltimore will be able to put up some good numbers tonight. So thanks for the question. We have another one here. Jared, who would you say top 3 running back for standard non-PPR? Let's see here. Who would you say top 3 running backs for standard non-PPR? Myles Gaskin, Michael Carter, Jordan Howard. Let me write these down. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get this to work. Guys, thanks for the questions. I just got a text from my buddy Sean, who's usually on with me here. He said he'll be home in about 2 minutes, so he'll be able to jump on. Thanks for sticking with us. I do have some cool things I want to show you guys that I've been working on. If you stick it out here a little bit, but keep the questions coming. I would much rather answer your questions and get you prepared for your fantasy games. Let's see here. Comps. Let's go to comparisons. If you're new and you're watching, like I said, we stream Thursdays at 7 p.m. We usually go for about an hour, answering your questions. If you guys are still here after an hour, I'll keep going. I've had some guests that have in the past that have had to leave, and once the guests left, the chat kind of went away with it. But if you guys keep asking questions, we'll keep showing stats and giving you advice. So let's look here. Myles Gaskin. Oops. Nope. Gaskin. All right, let's take a look. Guys, let me know if you're still in the chat. Let me know your records on the year. If you're fighting for playoffs, if you're going to be comfortable in the playoffs. Oh, let me send this to Sean, and then I'll get to that question. Let me text him real quick. Send. All right. So hopefully he shows up here in a second. Let's get back to your question here. Sorry about that, Jared. Let's see here. So we got Myles Gaskin. And once again, my chart is not working. Let's refresh it and see if that helps. Jeremy, what's up, buddy? What's up, John? You sexy man. Jeremy, you're the best, man. Thanks for showing up. Guys, Jeremy, are you available? You want to hop on here for a couple of minutes? Let me know. I'll send you a Twitter message. Jeremy's on the show on the Frankie from Flatbush channel. They do it's a Jets channel, so but they talk all kinds of football. They do shows Friday nights, Sunday nights. I had Jeremy on last week as a guest. It was a good time. So let's see here. Let's see, is Sean coming? Sent. Okay. Sure, I'll be on in 5 minutes. Sweet. All right, let me send you that link as well. Jared, I promise I'll get back to your question here. Sorry. Invite. Let me get this invite going. Copy. All right, it looks like the chart's working, so that'll be good. But let me send this invite to Jeremy. Let me see if Sean's in yet. Nope, Sean's not in yet. All right, let me keep typing these names. Go back to your thing here. Carter, Michael Carter. As a Jets fan, Carter's having a great rookie season. Not fantasy number wise. Well, the last few weeks have been really good for him fantasy wise, but the first few weeks he was only playing about 20 to 30% of the snaps. So, but they're definitely getting him more involved in the offense. Ever since they put Coach LaFleur up in the box, the Jets offense has been really good. They're over 1,000 yards the last 2 weeks. So definitely. He's definitely worth the pick. I believe he went to school in North Carolina, and I believe Williams as well from Denver. So, man, what a running back duo that was for North Carolina. He's got Jordan Howard. Let's see if Jordan Howard comes up here. And there's one more, Freeman. He said Freeman. Nothing's working. Ever since I started late and I got no. He said Devonta Freeman, and Royce Freeman's coming up for some reason. Oh, here's Sean. Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, John.
Hey, bud, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, I know you had a little situation there, but thanks for giving me some time tonight. I'm answering Jared his question here. It says, who would you say top 3 running back for standard non-PPR? Gaskin, Michael Carter, Jordan Howard, or Devonta Freeman? I'm trying to bring them up on my comparison chart here. Give your take.
For a non-PPR, I would say probably Myles Gaskin would be your best option. Jordan Howard, it's hard to say what the Eagles running back situation is anymore. I mean, every week they have a different person up there now that Miles Sanders hasn't been playing. Michael Carter, I mean, he does share touches with in New York for the Jets, but for Myles Gaskin, he gets most of the touches, and especially when Tua is not starting, he gets more touches. So I would say him. Freeman, it's hard to say if he'll get a touchdown, especially with Lamar Jackson. So it's hard to say if he'll get any touchdowns or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Carter. I know, like I was saying a little bit before you came on, that the first few weeks he was getting anywhere between 20 and 40% of the touches in New York. Now he's about 60 to 80%. So he's definitely getting the ball more. So I mean, if it's a keeper league, I would definitely pick up somebody like Michael Carter.
Yeah. Yeah, either Carter or Gaskin, they're both for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you think Gaskin's a good start tonight going up against Baltimore?
it's it's hard to say. I mean, up until last week, Baltimore hasn't allowed any big rushing games over 60 yards. It was 59 was their high up until last week, and I think Dalvin Cook, I believe, had over 100 in that game last week. So it's hard to say. I mean, it could be. It all could depend on the gameplay. I mean, if you're able to throw the ball and you can open up the running back game and get big chunk change of 15, 20-yard gains, then it looks good. And if you're off to a good start. But if you're only getting 2-3 yards a carry, you're not going to get as far into that as you want.
Yeah. What do you think of tonight's game?
I don't think it'll be close. I think it's going to be probably a Baltimore running away with it. I'm not with Miami. I mean they are injury prone, but they were expecting to be a better team this year, and I think they're 2-7. So I mean they're really not off to a good start this year.
Yeah, and after last year, man, there was playoff talks in Miami, and I'm not sure what's going on down there. So
Yeah,
crazy. When they made the schedule, this actually looked like a good matchup, and the way the season's playing out, it's unbelievable how Miami has faltered.
yeah, you figure they lost Tua, they lost Devontae Parker, Will Fuller. You figure they're the third and fourth stringers are their best two wide receivers on the season, so it's hard to say that what could be. I mean, their defense hasn't stepped up yet this year, so that's also a downfall. But I mean, if they step up tonight, I mean, if they get a turnover or two, and you can get Baltimore to have to throw the ball and not run the ball as much, I mean, you can put them on the ropes and control the game possibly.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get Jared. Thanks for the question, guys in the chat. Keep them coming. We'll answer all your questions. I want to go ahead and bring another guest on with me here now. We got Jeremy from the Frankie from Flatbush channel and New York Jets Worldwide. Jeremy, how are you this evening?
I'm doing well. Just enjoying my day off.
Oh, nice day off. Oh, Veterans Day today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. How's the weather out in California?
That was not bad today for considering the time of year. Sacramento is like, I think we peaked at like 65 today, partly sunny.
Gotcha. Jeremy, this is my co-host Sean, my best friend, the guy who supports me sports-wise, tears me down fantasy sports-wise. So, and Sean, this is Jeremy. I had Jeremy was one of my guests last week while you were away. He does a lot of Jets content on Twitter. So we've been having some good chat going on tonight. Jeremy, what do you think of tonight's game?
Well, I just want to say, nice to meet you, Sean. I definitely watched a lot of these videos, and I like your stuff too. So,
thank you.
Yeah, I enjoy your work. So you want to know about tonight's game?
Yeah. What as an outsider? What are you thinking?
Let me think about that for a second, because
maybe not even fantasy wise, just game wise. Baltimore definitely beating Miami, or
well, I mean, I think the outcome. I was thinking from fantasy wise, but no, I mean, I don't see how Miami is going to beat Baltimore, especially coming off of a win. I think even you see the Jets, like it's hard when you're struggling as a team to like put together two wins in a row. It's not easy. So if they were playing a very weak team, maybe, but going, against Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, I don't see Miami doing much. I think it's obviously going to be a hot opportunity. If you have Lamar Jackson, you're in great shape tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of the Jets on Sunday going up against Buffalo? Buffalo coming off that horrendous loss against Jacksonville.
I think that Buffalo's would be really mad, and it's a shame that we didn't catch them on that off week. They're not gonna come in sleeping like they did obviously against Jacksonville. So we're gonna have some problems. I think the only guy I could see starting and feel any confidence in is probably Elijah, because he's obviously Mike White likes him as a target, and he's kind of coming into his own. And I think that there's a chance that Buffalo might get way ahead and there might be some garbage time yards for him, or just simply he's the only thing we're going to be able to do. Like, it's going to be dump offs, maybe like Michael Carter, maybe, but I don't think I'm worried they're not going to get any touchdowns. That's my fear. You might see Michael Carter get some receptions. So if you're in a tight league, backup kind of utility player that you need to start, maybe he'll scrape off some points, through some receptions, and he's not going to have a lot. It's a gamble. I feel probably the safest with Elijah Moore. I think if anyone's going to score any points without the Jets scoring, I think he might give the best total.
Yeah, I agree. Sean, who do your Vikings have this week?
We play the Chargers in LA.
Oh, tough matchup there. You guys just lost to Baltimore, right?
Yeah, as I like to say, we're the best 6-2 team in the league. That's 3-5. Because we have 5 losses by under 1 score this year, and all of our wins have come by 1 score. So if there's a team that actually has scored more points than they have they have more points scored than they have given up this year, and they still seem to be 3-5. I mean, 2 overtime games to lose on 2 kicks at the end of overtime, and then you figure we lost 3 games on last minute drives, and for a head coach that's a defensive guru, as he likes to call himself, I mean, the defense seems to be giving up the issue. I mean, we blew a 14-point lead in the second half, and we had no offense to go with it because they decided not to do plays that go down the field. And then in overtime, they were doing jet sweeps and everything, and screen plays, and yeah.
Yeah, I have this week's schedule up on the screen here. Any other games you guys are really interested in? I'm actually interested into seeing Cleveland going into New England. What do you guys think of that game? Either fantasy or just league wise.
I think it's a great matchup. New England's coming on pretty strong. Cleveland bounced back last week, and Baker, took it, responded really well to the week before that and all the criticism. So he came back really strong. The team really responded well. New England's been fire lately. I mean, they're playing really well. They seem to be very in tune. So I think it's going to be a great, very competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think that New England is probably the better team than Cleveland right now. Cleveland, I mean, their offense last week, they clicked, but I think they rode the momentum of all the turnovers that Cincinnati was giving them and the short field position that they were also given. So, and once they got that lead early on that 100-yard pick six or 99-yard pick six, that kind of rolled with it that they could just run the ball the whole game and only had to throw when they needed to. And I think Cleveland rides on their defense. Their offense, I mean, it's hit or miss. I mean, where New England, their defense is pretty much, it's been locked down. I mean, they're averaging, I think it's like a 1.5 turnovers a game almost lately. So they're gonna they're going to be all over Jarvis Landry and Peoples-Jones. So I think where it comes in that matchup, I think New England actually has the advantage, being that they're the home team.
And they've actually been bad this year at home. I believe they have a losing record.
But
this
you
year.
gotta look at the games that they had to play at home, though. I guess against all the winning teams, so it's hard to say. I mean, I think they played Dallas at home and they played
Tampa
at home. So you got to look at it being 1-4 at home. They played such good teams and all the games that they have played have all been competitive. You figure Dallas was overtime and Tampa Bay was the game-winning field goal.
Yeah, and they crushed the Jets when they were at home. So
that's true.
When they didn't play a great team, you saw that there was certainly no loss in home field advantage there.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead, Sean.
I think New England actually, if they win this game, I think it'll help them propel into being a playoff seed and all that. I think that'll help them get some momentum going. I mean, it's a big game for both teams because you figure one team loses, and if I think Kansas City wins on Sunday night, I think they'll be 2 games out of the playoff race there as the last seed in, which is crazy to think that Kansas City is the last seed in the playoffs, but I think we'll be interested. We'll be interested to see Patrick Mahomes have to play in a wild card weekend for the first time in his career.
Well, and I believe that whole division right now is they're all tied at 5 wins, and I think Vegas is in first with only 2 losses. I think.
No, Vegas has 3 losses. I think. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Chargers are in first because I think they own the tiebreaker over Oakland and Kansas City. But the whole, I think it's, or Las Vegas. I'm used to saying Oakland. I think I saw the whole AFC West and the whole AFC North division is all above 500 for the second time in history of that football after 9 weeks.
Wow.
Which is crazy to think. 8 teams in the 2 divisions are above it.
Then before we go to another game here, there's some news today that Cam got re-signed in Carolina. What's your guys' take on that? And then we'll talk a little bit about Odell. The reports coming out that he's almost agreed to a deal with the Rams. Sean, I believe you called that after they released him, I think.
Well, actually, I said the Rams were an option, and you said that you didn't think so. But I mean, then I changed and I said that I thought the Packers were the headliner, and I said Kansas City was the other 2 teams, and he narrowed it down to those 3. And then out of nowhere, the Rams coming in are like, we're signing them. So I guess, he wanted to be on a Super Bowl contending team. I guess he just had to figure he had to go somewhere that he wouldn't be the main star or something, or he could be one of the main stars, and that's what he'll be in LA. I mean, they have such a star-studded roster in LA, and I kind of think it's bad on his part to want to go to LA. I would have rather seen him truthfully in Green Bay or Kansas City. The touches you would have seen in Green Bay would have been enormous because it would have been Devontae Adams or him getting the ball. And in Kansas City, it would have been Tyreek Hill and Kelsey, and then him. They would have been sharing it between those 3. Where in LA, he's got to share it with Kupp. He's got to share it with Jefferson, Woods, Henderson, Sony Michel, Higbee. So I think honestly, he'll be more of the distraction when he does start to play. I don't believe he's going to be playing Monday night, but I think that if he does play next week, I think he'll be more of a distraction. I don't think it'll change much for the fact that the number 1's still going to go on Cooper Kupp and number 2 would go on Woods. I mean, they're probably not going to really sit there and say, Odell Beckham's his Odell Beckham and New York Giants days anymore, but they're not going to be all over and play their number 1 guy on a guy that hasn't had a decent season in 4 years.
Yeah, ever since he left the Giants, he really hasn't put up the numbers. Now, I don't know if that has to do with the style of offense they were running in Cleveland, or
Well,
I don't know what the situation was there.
it also doesn't help. I think I think he tore his ACL. He had knee injuries. He has a shoulder injury. I mean, I think that whatever kind of conditioning he does for his own time and for his career, I think after like the first 2-3 years after he became big in New York, after the first year or two, it's just he kind of, I guess you could say, stopped caring as much because he was healthy the first, I think, 3 seasons of his career, and since in the last 5 years, I think he's missed more games than he's played.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think it
Go
comes
ahead,
down.
Jeremy.
Oh yeah, sorry. I think it comes down to a combination of those factors. There's no question he hasn't been the same since the ACL. And he's trying to spin it as Baker doesn't want to throw to him. It's Baker. It's this. It's that. But the truth is, he hasn't done. I mean, he's very known. He hasn't been the same since the ACL, so there's no evidence that he's anything like that guy. Like you said, Sean, that's from those Giant days. No evidence of it at all. And also, the one thing I do want to say is someone who I was still in New York at that time, and I was watching him and blown away his first few years. He was a hungry player. He wasn't a diva, right? That was he's just a guy out of college, hungry to make a name for himself. He became this huge diva. Like, he became so into himself and so into being a star and a celebrity, and that's never a good thing. Like, in my opinion, that never leads to good things. As soon as they get their head filled with themselves and they start caring more about their image and being bigger than the world, that's when they seem to fade. It's like the players that stay consistent and are great are the ones you don't see doing that, right? Like the players like remember back to the days of Jerry Rice. That's always my example. That guy just worked hard and never stopped working hard. He never became this ego guy. He never opened up his mouth. It was never about him, and then you look at other guys that were consistent. Steve Largent, like I think back to my childhood, those wide receivers, Wesley Walker for the Jets, they were never about, now Adam Thielen from the Vikings, right? I mean, these guys just aren't ego guys. It's not about them. They just play hard to help the team win. And you could see the personality change with Odell from those early years with the Giants. Once he found his voice, sometimes that's not a good thing. You get your head filled with yourself.
Well, even Minnesota, I would say Justin Jefferson's like that too. Just he does do a little shenanigans with the celebrations, but you never hear anything out of him.
Yeah, I mean, a player that comes to mind that actually I think 2 players that come to mind that remind me of players like Jerry Rice and all that, that always wanted to win, didn't care about anything, but they were confident in themselves, is Randy Moss. I mean, he was always able to back up his game. If he said, I'm going to do this, he always went out and he did it, but he was never ball hungry. I mean, he could have the ball thrown 3 times. I think was it the Dallas game on Thanksgiving where he had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns, and he only had 3 targets that whole game. And he was confident in it, and he said, I'm going to make Dallas pay for not drafting me, and he did. And then another person that was always wanting the team to win and never was cocky about it, but he was good at it, was Calvin Johnson. I mean, the guy stayed his whole – I mean, he wanted to leave Detroit. They just didn't want to ever get rid of him, and that's when he forced retirement. And then if you figure if he would have – won somewhere else, I think he'd still be playing to today. I mean, he's top 5 on one of my favorite wide receivers. I mean, I just enjoyed watching him play because he did things you wouldn't ever expect people to do.
Yeah, and Jeremy, you brought up Wesley Walker from the Jets, but actually the guy I really liked back then was Al Toon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and he just kept getting hurt and getting concussions. But he was in the same mold. Just went out, did his job, and
Yeah. I mean, a couple of other players that remind me too of that. Not even being on offense, defense wise. I mean, you got like Dion Sanders. He was always confident, and he always made sure he did what the team would need to win the game. He never really, I mean, yeah, he was big on his image and all that, but he still didn't let that distract him from the time he was on the field, because you always figure he was always doing something to help the team win. And
Right.
and then Darrelle Revis in his early years, before he started getting cocky and all that and going downhill when he started changing teams every year.
Yeah, that's always bad when you become a journeyman. And you mentioned Randy Moss. Don't forget he started his career opposite of Chris Carter. So
Yeah.
he had a great role model. If you want to talk about a role model in Chris Carter and how to get the job done and do your talking on the field.
Yeah, and I believe, if I'm not, I could be wrong. I think his rookie year wasn't Randall Cunningham as a quarterback.
No, Culpepper.
Culpepper, yeah, and Culpepper. I mean, he showed that he was that was his prime years and all that.
Yep.
And living here in Pennsylvania, I remember when Chris Carter got cut by the Eagles. He wasn't a big name yet, but a lot of Eagle fans were upset when Buddy Ryan got rid of him. But I know he credits Buddy Ryan for help turn his life around.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes getting something like that changes your career. I mean, getting released or even traded to a team that isn't as good as what you were used to or something, and then it can make a game changer for you. I mean, everyone thought that's what with Odell Beckham what was going to end up happening was he went to Cleveland, he'd be a number 1 or a number 2 there, and he was getting a quarterback that was coming out of college, able to throw that they knew they could throw the ball to him more. And I like you said, I think he became a diva, and he's just a dramatic person. I mean, I know they showed the tapes and all that, like on ESPN and all that, and NFL, where they're like, oh, he's missing his throws and all that. But if you also look at if you watch some of the games, how many times would Baker throw the ball to Odell and hits him in the hands and he drops it, or he's got to do some spectacular catch and drops it. And when that comes to, if I was a quarterback and that came to my mind, would I want to keep throwing to a guy that's going to try to do some spectacular catch to make a highlight reel or help the team win games? I mean, I would throw to someone else that's not going to do that kind of thing if I was Baker as well. So I think that also led down the road to Baker not throwing to him a lot, especially in tight games where you needed someone to actually catch the football and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you guys think of not really a fantasy impact, but Sam Darnold's injury? What do you think? Do you think his career is over, or will he become a journeyman and just be a backup quarterback from now on?
I felt from the beginning, I said, this is the make or break year, right? Like this is gonna determine, be a backup quarterback or show that the Jets being, and Adam Gase is the one thing that was wrong that held them back. This was we're going to find out the truth. I always felt that it was like there was too much emphasis put on it was the Jets that ruined him. Like I never agreed with that because, first of all, the litmus test was when Joe Flacco came in for him, the Jets didn't get any worse. As a matter of fact, they were better. So if you got an aging end of his career, Flacco has already been to 2 different teams, who comes in and plays better than Darnold, and that was Darnold's 3rd year. That was a good, indicator. But also, if you just watch the Jet games, there were plenty of plays where I watched him get plenty of protection, throw downfield, and make ridiculous throws downfield, just into traffic, interceptions. And I'd call my friend who kept saying, it's the team, bro. And I'd be like, how do you blame that on the team? He had plenty of time. He's in the pocket, and he just throws the ball into the other team. I was like, that's not the Jets. That's him. And, Desean Watson wasn't on a great team his last year that he played last year with Houston. There weren't a great team around him. But if you're really great and you're really talented, you find ways to shine. You might not be as good as your potential if you're on the wrong team, but you're not going to look as bad as he did. You're going to show some evidence, and I never saw the evidence with Sam. So I think them going back to Cam Newton is a indicator that he's not even going to last the seasons, Arnold. We're going to probably see him. I don't think we're going to ever see him in a starting role again. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, John, you said that it doesn't make any fantasy changes or differences, but it actually, if you think about it, for Carolina, it makes big fantasy implications because CMC is not going to get as many rushing touchdowns now. Because you figure once Cam Newton starts, I mean, he's such a big body guy. He proved that in the beginning of his career how he would run the ball in and get the rushing touchdowns. So, but I think honestly, I think this is Cam Newton's make or break year. When you figure he's going to start week 9 or week 11, and then you have bye week 13. So he's got 6 games to prove himself out there for NFL teams. And I think if he can go out there and he can win 4, maybe 5 games with Carolina with their remaining schedule, I think they play Tampa Bay. I think they play New Orleans once or twice, and I think they play Atlanta, which is division games. I think if he can win a couple of those and he can also win, like I said, 4 or 5 games, I think that could make some things roll in his form and get a contract, maybe even come back and play for Carolina again. I know that's where he's always wanted to play. I mean, his heart's always been with Carolina. So I just think that, I mean, them signing Cam Newton for a $10 million deal for a few weeks is kind of a lot. So they obviously have a lot. They know their investment is in him, and I mean, they're still in the playoff race. I think they're the 7th seed right now in the standings, so they could definitely make the playoffs, and Cam Newton could do something we never would think he would do and take the team back to the playoffs.
Well, now personally, I really don't want Carolina to win any more games because the Jets own the 2nd and I believe their 4th round pick next year. So I actually hope they lose the rest of their games. But Jeremy, what's up with Cam?
I don't know. I mean, he had a pretty awesome coach up there in New England, and we're seeing what Mac Jones can do. So, it was hard for me to believe it when they let him go, Carolina, the first time. It was shocking to me because it was so fast to me. Like, could he have declined that much? He basically carried that team on his shoulders to a Super Bowl not so long ago. So it was hard to believe. But then when I watched him in New England, it didn't look good. Like I was, so I don't know. It doesn't look good for him. But maybe, New England is said to have, I mean, I don't know that they were doing the same plan for him that they were doing for Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones right now, it's a lot of dinking and dunking. If you look at his passes, 90% of them are within 10 yards. It's, spreading the ball around. And I don't know if they really tried that with Cam or if he just didn't progress down the plane. He just would go for too much, kind of and play hero ball. But he's going to another coaching staff that's known, another offensive coordinator and head coach that's known to make quarterbacks look better, right? Just like when Sam went down there, everyone said, oh, now he's going to have real coaching. So there's not going to be any excuses. Like if Cam Newton comes in, if he doesn't perform, then, you pretty much stick a fork in him. He's not going to succeed anywhere.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, I think personally, like I said, I think this is going to be Cam's make or break rest of his career right here. I just think that I don't think not that he played bad for New England. I mean, he did, but I also think that he didn't want to do, like you said, the underneath stuff. He was always going to try to, doing the deep passes that he likes doing, and he wasn't running the ball as much in New England. I mean, I think they were so used to having a non-mobile quarterback and a guy that's going to do the short passes, the slant plays, nothing overly deep passes down the field, where Cam was coming from Carolina, where it was 30-yard bombs, 40-yard bombs, and I'm running the ball when I need to run it and all that. So I think if he can go and he can play good. I think that he could possibly get the job back and all that. I don't think that if he can do it and everything, Carolina would go out and do what they did in 2019, sign Teddy Bridgewater, release Cam, and then trade for Sam Darnold. And then they signed PJ Walker, who's the quarterback this week, and then Sam Darnold gets injured, and they've seen that PJ Walker isn't going to be what they thought he was going to be. So then we bring Cam Newton back. So it's like Cam Newton went round table there just to get his job back again in 2 years.
Yeah, another quarterback I want to talk about, maybe not getting into the whole legal situation, but what's your guys' takes on where Desean Watson will end up, and will he play next season?
I don't know that he's going to play next season game 1 because he hasn't faced any NFL discipline yet. And this case of his is dragging a really long time, which might be, I've heard people say that's an indicator that there's not enough evidence to prosecute, and it's going to be more of a civil case. But I don't know if that's true. It could be they're just collecting and making sure they have a strong enough case. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert, but it doesn't look like that's going to get resolved by the end of this regular season. And however that turns out, he hasn't faced the discipline of the NFL yet. So I don't see him coming in next year and playing game 1. So whoever invests in him, if somebody is willing to trade for him, are going to have to prepare that, for that reality that he might play only half a season next year. We don't know. Miami obviously is the team people talk about the most. That's what I've heard. He was really close to Miami. I know that there were conversations, early on with Denver. I think Jalen Hurts is playing. Everybody knocks Jalen Hurts, but if you compare him to Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts doesn't look like. Why aren't people hyping him up more? He has as many touchdowns. It doesn't look like he's, it doesn't seem fair, the coverage on these two quarterbacks. I don't know. So Philly, because was someone teams talked about, but I think they might like Hurts because he's only in his second year, his first full year, and he's actually playing okay. So why would Philly give up all that capital? So I don't know. I think Miami definitely has the interest, though.
Yeah. Actually, before your take, Sean, we have a question from Debin in the chat. He gets to start 2. He's got Waddle, Robinson, Woods, and Javonte Williams. Let me look up those stats. But Sean, what's your quick take? And it is a PPR league, he said.
Waddle and Woods, without a doubt. Robinson's injured. I know he's battling a high ankle injury, so he sat out last week. He's only been limited practice with no contact jersey on during practice, and Javonte Williams. I mean, he's on Detroit, so I mean, your second string to DeAndre Swift. They're not going to give someone else the ball over a guy that's playing pretty good for. I think DeAndre Swift's on pace to be the first Detroit Lions running back with 1,000 yards in a season since Barry Sanders.
Wow.
So, I mean, to think about that, I mean, up until I think it was last year, like week 15 or 16, there was no 100-yard rusher in almost 3 seasons, and then now they're getting 100-yard games out of them. So I think that you would start Waddle and Woods. Waddle, I mean, he's the number 1 wide receiver in Miami, without a doubt. You start him. And Woods, I mean, OBJ is not going to stop his stock up there in LA. He gets jet sweeps. He does the end arounds, especially in red zones. He gets those. And then he's pretty good at getting open and finding small spaces and everything. So I think being the second to Cooper Kupp, I think he's able to get a touchdown or 2 even a week.
Yeah, I agree with your take as well. Definitely Waddle and Woods. Woods actually has my favorite nickname in football. They call him Bobby Trees. What are you shaking your head? What are you shaking your head for? You don't like that?
Because it's not, no.
But let's get back to Desean Watson. Sean, what do you think?
Unless someone offers a big deal for Deshaun Watson, because obviously Houston set the pricing so high. They won 3 first rounders, 2 quality players, and 2 other draft picks. I don't see him playing the next 2 seasons. His contract don't expire until 23, and he said he's not playing another down for Houston. So I just don't. Unless some legal issues that can void his contract, and Houston can say, all right, we don't have to pay the guy we don't want to, and he can be released. I guess you can finally say that unless, like I said, someone goes out there, then his days will be him sitting out 3 straight years and not playing. I think if any team goes out of the way to get him, wouldn't be Miami. I actually see Carolina maybe being the first person. Carolina, I know, was questioning about him before the trade deadline. I know they were inquired about him because I think he would fit best with that offense, with Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, CMC, and then just the quality of their defense would be way better than what he's been playing with in Houston, where if he goes to Miami, he's not really upgrading, I would say, from Houston. Miami's defense is a lot of players that aren't in their prime anymore if they're experienced, and there are a lot of younger players. And the offense, you're running around Myles Gaskin, and you're running with Jalen Waddle. The only player that has proven himself other than is Will Fuller, which he played with in Houston, but he's injury prone. Devontae Parker, injury prone. So you'd only really have 1 or 2 guys that I think he could be reliable on. So I think that Carolina would be the front runner in the offseason to get him. But I just don't know if they want to play. I think it's paid $23 million for the next 2 years on his contract. I don't know if Carolina would have the cap, especially after they got Gilmore. They got CMC that Jay has paid. DJ Moore, I think, got paid. Robbie Anderson, I think, got a nice contract when he went there from New York. So they might have money issues where they might have to cut some people or something, and it might hurt the team. So I think what a lot of teams want is for them to release him, and they can get a new contract in on him, because you also got to look at it. If he doesn't play this year, look at players that have sat out and what they've done to their careers, like Le'Veon Bell. After he sat out that year, it ended his career. I mean, he never was a starter again, and he was a starter for a year with New York until he got released there, and he went to Kansas City as a 3rd stringer, and now he's on Baltimore as a 3rd stringer. So I just think that it's going to be people don't want to pay that much for a guy that sat out this long and don't know what they really are going to be expecting, especially if he does get into legal issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carolina's also paying. They picked up Sam Darnold's 5th year, so they got to pay that too. And I don't think that's cheap, right? I'm not sure how much it is, but it's not cheap.
No, it's not going to be cheap. Yeah, I don't have the numbers here in front of me, but it's definitely not cheap.
I think it's I forget what it is. It's a decent. I think it was a decent amount.
Yeah, that's why it was such a hard decision, right? Because they said, do you pick up the 5th year option?
And not only did they signed Robbie Anderson when he left New York, but I believe this offseason they just gave him a contract extension. So I don't know what those numbers are as well, but definitely he's not putting up numbers worth what they're paying him.
Sam Darnold's contract next year is $18.85 million.
Oh.
Man, and half of the Jets fan base wanted to keep this guy.
Oh.
And to think about it, he up until this year in his career, he only made $3.8 million. So he's about to times 5 that in one season.
Oh man, I would not. I guess they did. They already picked up the option, right? So
Yeah,
I
they
guess
picked it up
I
before the
guess they
trade
have to pay
deadline.
it.
He's actually very lucky that he somehow fooled them, or
I I think I think it has to do with the name Sam, and you may have the same. They must have the same agency, but Sam Bradford and Sam Darnold are both geniuses. I mean, Sam Bradford made Sam Bradford made $100 million, and I think he had 12 career wins or something in his career. Like the guy had played for more teams, I think, than he had wins in his career almost, and he's sitting at home on couches made out of $100 bills.
Yeah.
That was probably Joe Douglas's final decision making. Like when he had to think about it, the thing that probably that made him make the move in that decision was, if I keep him and we don't draft a quarterback, we're going to have to pick up his 5th-year option. Am I going to gamble, because we know how Joe Douglas is with money and the cap space? Am I going to gamble $18 million on this kid in year 4 and ahead of time lock up $18 million of cap space next year? Or do I hit the restart button and get a rookie quarterback that we've fallen in love with? So it's kind of I wouldn't be surprised if that was the thing that threw him to that side, like just that $18 million for next year.
Well,
Yeah.
and Ryan over at Jets Talk 24/7, he made a point during the draft last year that what made it easier was the Jets had the second pick in the draft.
Yeah.
What would have happened if they were picking eighth or ninth and not knowing who they were going to get and couldn't work a trade up? Would they have kept Sam and done something else?
Yeah, you would have been seeing Ghost again up in New York.
Oh, why are you talking?
Why are you talking?
So, guys, go ahead.
I think that was honestly the smartest decision in the Jets. That cut ties with Darnold when they could. They've shown that he couldn't do what they expected. And I mean, they're kind of a laughing stock at Carolina now with the games. I mean, he cost them the game this weekend in New England.
That interception he threw was unbelievable.
He had 3 interceptions, and one was a pick six, and 2 of them were in the red zone. I mean, he literally could have just handed the ball off to a guy called Christian McCaffrey, gotten points on the board, and it would have changed the game. But instead, they went down. It was 7-0, or they were down 7. Then they were down 14. And it's like Sam Darnold's like, here. He reminded me of the water boy when he literally takes the ball and hands it to the guy and like, here, just go score. It's crazy to think that in the first 3 weeks we all sat here and said Sam Darnold was a different guy and 3-0, and then after week 3, when they played Dallas week 4, he proved early in the first half, like, all right, turnovers are back, and then he's played the second half lights out, and we're like, all right, he had one decent game or one bad game. They took an L, but he'll bounce back. And week 5, it's like, all right, Sam Darnold's playing out there like he was on Halloween night seeing Ghost again, and I'm like, I think that he kind of ruined his career. I mean, no one's going to take, I don't think, and pay a guy that much to be a starting quarterback in this league when quarterbacks nowadays are coming out of college. And I mean, I guess you could say like almost 80% of them coming out of college are all mobile quarterbacks now, where that's what teams are relying on. I mean, unless you have a guy like Mac Jones and Belichick, but you got Lamar and you got Burrow and all that coming out that are mobile quarterbacks. So I think nowadays, unless you have speed and you've proven it that you're going to be that kind of quarterback, I don't know if you'll make it today. I mean, I remember back when the Jets were drafting Sam Darnold and you said you were so hyped about this guy, and I'm like, he didn't even have a good college career. Like, I think that's what kind of, you got to look at college careers now and how they play and who they play to show like what kind of career they could have. I mean, they always say the SEC makes quarterbacks in the NFL, and I think that's kind of proven that the SEC quarterbacks are kind of taking over the NFL.
Mm-hmm. But even with Sam Darnold, even his rookie year, we saw flashes of what he could do, but then he would always revert back to. So at the beginning of this year, when the Panthers fans are all going crazy, be like, "Oh man, we got the good Sam Darnold." Jet fans were like, "Relax, you'll see." And then it only took a couple weeks, and then the real Sam Darnold stood up.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to he's not mentally capable of being a winning quarterback week in and week out. He has, like you said, the flashes to be a good quarterback. If the defense helps him like they did week 1 through 3, he can do what it takes to win the games and do what it does. But if the defense isn't giving him, 1 or 2 turnovers a game inside the red zone where they can get the points, can Sam Darnold go on multiple 80-yard drives to score a touchdown or anything kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we're getting ready for kickoff here. Jeremy, do you have anything you want to plug before we head out?
Sure. I'll be on Green Beans is actually featuring tonight as a special guest, Frankie from Flatbush. I will be backstage. He usually brings me up to talk a little bit, so check that out on Green Bean channel. And then me and Frankie on the Frankie from Flatbush channel are on every live stream every Friday at 8 p.m. and every Sunday night at 7 p.m. Our show is called Calmness Meets Chaos. And that's about it. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Cravat 2.
So yeah, thanks for giving me some of your time tonight. I'll see you over there in the Green Beans live stream. I'll be checking that out. Sean, do you have any wild takes for tonight's game?
I mean, Lamar's probably going to almost outrush, I think, the whole running back core for Miami. But, I mean, I think that's a given every single week. The guy, Lamar Jackson, for 31 teams to pass him up. When he was in the draft, I wanted Minnesota to take him. I mean, that was the year we decided let's give Kirk Cousins a $57 million contract, and I pull my hair out every day still thinking about that contract. So, no, I think this game is pretty straightforward. I think Baltimore kind of is just going to control it from the snap. I think the only way that Miami, I think, has a chance is if they can get Lamar to throw a pick or two and maybe special teams even gets a touchdown or two. I think that's the only way you have any chance to beat Baltimore. I think in every game this year, besides the Cincinnati game, they've kind of been in it until the very end. And I mean, they've gotten a lot of lucky breaks to go their way. So I think that luck's on their side. And I think that's what you need to win games anymore in the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely. One final thing before we go, guys, we are 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving. So I wanted to do a little thing here. What is your favorite Thanksgiving dish besides turkey? You can't have turkey. What else are we having?
Whatever's being served.
Whatever. You don't have a favorite?
I mean, I'm one of those guys that sit down with 3 plates at the table, so I can't really say I have a favorite because I'm just filling everything up on a plate. If we're gonna be honest, I mean, I always love my apple pie. That's my favorite Thanksgiving thing. I always get a homemade apple pie made. So
I should block you now.
Oh my God! Why are we even friends?
Jeremy, how about you?
Definitely the stuffing. I'm a stuffing guy. Probably 2 to 3 bites of stuffing per bite of turkey.
Wow. My wife makes some kind of corn casserole. I'm not sure what's in it, but it is absolutely delicious. I could actually just eat that every Thanksgiving. But when it comes to pie, it's got to be pumpkin pie or pecan pie.
Pumpkin.
Nah, I'm not a pumpkin person. But if I had to pick any favorite dish besides turkey, every Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's called cheesy bacon potatoes. So I love that. You take potatoes and you cut them into you just slice them into like potato skins almost and cut them up, and then you just mix cheese and bacon bits into them, and it just melts in your mouth. It's kind of like the hash browns that you get when you go to Waffle House or something. Like it melts in your mouth, and I eat it cold out of the fridge, or I can eat it steaming hot out of the oven. It's what I love to eat every Thanksgiving. I make sure I bring my own dish, and I'm like, all right, I'm taking it to go.
Nice. So, guys, I'm going to get ready to go watch the game. Thanks for joining me tonight. Remember, guys, we live stream every Thursday at 7, and then Sundays at noon. So make sure you check your fantasy lineups, and we will see you Sunday at noon.